What's up, guys? Sub-Zero here, back for another VOD review. Today, we got a game from the Project PBE Major Finals. If you guys missed this, I mean, it's a World Finals caliber lobby. Like, a bunch of fantastic Chinese players, Shiwei, Lightigo, Taylor, Daya, and LPDR. And then Title, our, two-time reigning world champion. What does the word reigning mean? Does he have to be... whatever. YBY1, one of maybe... you can't call him the best player in the world. Can you? You might be able to. He's one of the best players in the world. And then Michael, we got an America's rep. The only reason not repped, well, I mean, I don't even have to say it. This was a really fantastic final. Chiwei ended up winning it all and had a fantastic performance. Look at these. These are scores. These are scores, not placements. So fifth, first, second, first. So, like fantastic scores for him there. And I would love to do a Chiwei VOD review. Sadly, I could not find a stream for this guy, so we are going to be VOD reviewing third place here, title, 27 points. Still a really, really good performance across the entire tournament, and he actually streamed the entire thing, all I'm saying for Chiwei. I mean, maybe there's a VOD somewhere on some Chinese streaming site that I haven't seen, but Title played a really, really cool game. This is game, I want to say 3, but he played a really cool game playing around some of these ideas of what's really, really strong this patch, but in a creative way, in the not the most standard way, and so I want to talk about it and I want to watch it, and we're watching it right now. I will say also, if you guys are interested in kind of like meta read and stuff like that, Kai is probably gonna have a VOD up a little bit later today. Probably tomorrow. He said 12 hours from when we streamed it, so probably like tomorrow morning or time zones, whatever. A little bit after this video comes out, maybe like 8 hours after this video comes out, of our discussion with Demacian Raptor, Elia, and Kevin Parker, 3 fantastic European players, who basically went through the entire meta read, just talked about everything, comps, a little bit of talk about power-ups. Itemization was a really, really big one, and we can yap about that in this VOD as well. All right, Double Trouble, the Luchador +1, or the Luchador one, which honestly I've never taken before, but I think we can worry about it later because I don't think we're going to take it this game, or Spoils of War. I don't really love any of these that much in this spot here. Trade Sector seems, fine. You don't have the insane opener in this spot to be really excited about win streaking. The one thing I will say that you do have in this spot that is fantastic here is an early GP. GP is so good. One, he's just a fantastic standalone unit, can farm gold, can just do a ton of damage. And 2, he also opens you up into this mech opener where, if you get in 3 mech here with, just GP, Atrox, and then the Lucian, and then put another unit on, you start to feel really good. So if we knew that we had like Atrox 2, or if we knew that we had Lucian or something, I would be maybe more open to Spoils, but Spoils is just not that good of an augment these days. So with this take here, we have Prize Fighter and Trade Sector are basically the 2 routes we go down. You could take a 2's, it's not called 2 as company, too much value, something like that. The 2-cost Reroll one, but I don't think we're going to take that one here. So the question is, are you confident you can win streak or not? I mean, I do a lobby scout here and see what the rest of the lobby does. Not to say I'm title, but I mean, it's a bit obvious, but really important actually to do something like this. Just scout the lobby and see, okay, how strong is everybody? Because if there are a lot of people taking lost streak augments, people with weak openers, we might actually have the potential to win streak here. I mean, I will say, no one that I've seen so far looks like they have a fantastic early board, so I would be somewhat open to taking this. There's no one else. I will say there's no one who's like taking like a lost streak augment here that we see yet. Title's gonna wait a while, and I think it makes sense. Just think on it for a sec, and we do end up taking this this augment here. We end up taking Prize Fighter, going to play for win streak here. And then the next question is, okay, what are our slams in this spot? There's a few things here. I'm curious actually to see what Title makes here, because after talking about itemization, prioritization with Demacian Raptor, Elia, Kevin Parker, Kai talked as well. I talked a little bit as well, but honestly, I'm just trying to steal the meta read from really good players. IE, very, very high priority. Guardbreaker, very, very high priority. These are 2 fantastic items. I will say, because we already have this Gangplank, you could also lean towards like Sterak's Hodge. Like, that is the double slam that you could make here. The only downside is these items are a bit lower priority. Making a Hodge instead of something like an IE or a Guardbreaker feels pretty bad. I'm almost tempted to make like, I mean, you can't, like once you make IE, you need to make two items for GP here is the thing. Do you have to make Sterak's Hodge here? I mean, you're not making like LW something. I'm really interested to see the slam here. It feels like it has to be Sterak's then. We are going to check our power up here. So let's do a quick translator of this so that we can talk through it. Whoops. I'm trying to paste an image into you. Dude, am I getting... Oh no, I don't have ChatGPT Plus. I will say, whoever told me to use ChatGPT, it is very good at doing stuff, but it doesn't like doing a lot of stuff. Okay, first one here is every 4 seconds. Okay, sorry, it took me a sec, but I found it. Okay, so first one, 60. Your abilities do 60% additional damage. It's true damage over 4 seconds, so it gives you that bleed. I haven't actually taken this one yet. This one is when you, this is the dummy one. When you get low, drops a dummy and gives you 8% damage amp, and then you jump back. I think this one tends to be quite solid. And this one, gain 10% Omnivamp. Each time an ally dies, you gain 4 damage amp. I think this one is one that people really like, and yep, we are going to take this one that leaves behind a dummy. And yeah, I'm curious to see. We're going to make LW, okay, and then hold open the tier here. So yeah, the upside to this is, well, you get a real damage item onto GP. I will say, these days, and we talked about it a lot in the itemization chat, people are really not excited to build Omnivamp in general onto fighter units. This is because any unit that is a fighter, now in the fighter role, it says you get some Omnivamp, and by the time you get to late game, you get 20% Omnivamp. That is usually enough to get you there without needing to really build dedicated Omnivamp items. And so you don't need to build Omnivamp, weirdly enough, on these units who, for the longest time have been really excited to build Omnivamp. So that's what we're doing here. That's what Title is going to do in this spot, is he's going to say, I am not going to prioritize building Omnivamp whatsoever. I'm just going to build Sterax because it's a decent slam here, and then LW as well. It is a little bit tragic to use the glove on LW just because this is probably the single most important component that you can get these days. IE is so good, Guardbreaker is so good onto all of these melee carries, onto also all of the backliner units. Like you can put it on Jinx, you can put it on Samir, you can put it on Volibear, you can put it on Yone, you can put it on probably not Braum, but maybe you could. But yeah, it's just so good. But you can even see early game here, we're getting a little bit of Omnivamp from just being a fighter here, so we're even winning some of these fights here, and we are going to pre-level. And going to Carousel with the sword open, or the tier open, I'm also curious to see what this tier ends up actually being. If I was watching Marcel P, I would be very confident that's going to end up being an adaptive helm, because I feel like that is one of his favorite items to build. And I mean, honestly, we might see it here. A lot of cloaks open here. Adaptive helm is another fantastic item. Really good mana item on anybody who's, getting mana. The main, justification or condition for it from what I've seen is usually just units that gain some kind of mana from anywhere. So you have Rise, who is kind of the premier AP carry right now. He gains mana from his mentor bonus, so you're excited to do that. If you're playing Prodigy units, you really like it on them. Honestly, almost any unit, you are very happy to make this adaptive helm on them, so we are going to slam that onto GP. And yeah, this is a great kind of itemization masterclass here, talking about how to actually itemize with these new changes, the roles revamped changes, because it's really important for getting to your solid late game carries, having good items late game. If you're building BT Hodge on your late game carries, you are feeling really bad. So it makes sense here. We do end up losing our win streak that last round. We just fought quite a strong board here, which is pretty rough. We're also throwing the GP kind of to the wolves and saying, let him take aggro. It doesn't matter. He has this aggro drop built into his power up. So if he takes aggro and dies, he's not going to die. He's going to drop aggro with the dummy. So I like this a lot, just positioning wise, to allow GP take the early aggro and be totally fine with it. We also, YBY1, 5 streaking here, and he was playing around the Malzahar, right? YBY1, I think, one of the only Malzahar believers out there. I think in general, people think that this unit kind of sucks, but not YBY1. I feel like a lot of games I saw him, he ended up playing it. Pick up another tier here, which is a little bit rough. The glove is fantastic here. I wouldn't even be shocked if we look at reforging this tier here, just because we don't have much to build it into. And I will say we can start, even from the early slams here. Oh, he's going to build the Hodge here, and yeah, move this adaptive to a tank. I mean, it is a third item here. Once again, Omnivamp not the highest priority, but it does guarantee we have an item. There is the downside if we do reforge, then we end up getting like a chain vest or something. We're going to sit here. Are we going to make a steadfast heart? I don't really love it. This at least gets us an item onto GP, and then the adaptive helm can be a backline item. It can be, a frontline item. I mean, that's the upside to it, is it can be anything. So actually this makes a lot of sense from Title. Okay, so we have, this is Glass Cannon. This is this new one where as you take damage, you get more damage amp, which is pretty cool. So it's 5 to 35% damage amp when the maximum is at 30% here. And this one looks very similar to other augments, but looks slightly different. And so I'm going to translator this one because it almost looks like the stupid executioner one. Oh, this is the one. So enemies take initial 1% damage as true damage, and every time they take damage, the percentage increases by 1. So you want a bunch of like small instances of damage. I don't think this is amazing here. I mean, I do actually like this one a lot here. This kind of not drain tank, but drain damagey one where you take a bunch of damage, get a bunch of damage as well. We already have this power up that works really well with this, where we drop low, get all this extra damage, and then we get to play for the second part of the fight where our GP is low HP, but it's fine. He jumps to backline and does a lot of work. So I think this makes a lot of sense. And I will say, just thinking about kind of direction this game, we already have the GP, we already have Atrox 2, we have 3 mech in, and one of the best lines this patch that we've seen from just everybody is playing towards vertical, well, not really vertical mech, it's like mentor mech. It's usually, interestingly enough, the level 8 board is usually 4 mentor, 4 mech, even though there is no 4 mech breakpoint. Fits nicely on 9 where you can play 5 mech, or you can start dropping those other mechs and playing just high quality, 5 quest units and things like that. But yeah, I would say this is, if there were just kind of like a standard line aside from the obvious verticals, things like Soul Fighter, things like Star Guardian, this is one of just the easiest, most straightforward. You can, play this on 8 and roll down for, the same board every single time and do well. We do see something a bit crazy here from LPDR here, which is rolled a lot on 6 and found a Rise 2. This is a 2-star 4 cost here. If you guys aren't super locked into the set yet, that is a 2-star 4 cost that he found just on level 6 rolling a lot. It's funny seeing this from this other perspective, because I saw this later in the game from someone else's perspective, and I thought that, okay, maybe he got one off Carousel, We actually reforged the Cloak there. Cloak, a pretty bad component these days, and we are going to take the Chain, which one would expect would be for a Titan's Resolve. We do pick up another GP, which is really nice here. We'll see actually does it end up being a Titan's Resolve here, because Titan's is an item, I do think it is pretty solid onto a lot of these melee carries. It gives you the, nowadays, if you guys also didn't catch kind of the change to this Titan's item, it gives you CC immunity once it's fully stacked, which is really nice against especially a lot of these mech boards that have a ton of CC with stuff like Jarvan, Yone eventually. Like there's a lot of CC in the mech board, and then eventually like Koboko when you have 4 in as well. Like there's so much CC there, and so you really do want that on these boards. All right, let me see. Oh, we yoink that one immediately. I'm seeing 12% and 200, and then I'm seeing 200%. There's a 3 in here as well. I'll just translate all these, but I'll look at this one here because the last one is all that we really care about, though. I do want to see the ones he passed up over. So the middle one was reduced damage, or the left one was reduced damage taken by just flat 30. Middle was Colossus, yeah. And then this last one, this is, oh, okay. So this is like one of the supportive ones, right? Did he placed his Zac next to him? Yeah, this is cool. This is one where all the units around it gives this, it's like a Randuin style thing where you get 12% damage amp and 200 HP. Then it gives itself some extra. That's a really nice one as well for your melee carries. So many good ones for melees in general. And also, oh my God, GP is farming, right? That was our GP farming, right? It looked like that GP double farm there. I mean, he must have just killed 2 units back to back, which is wild. We also have Senna in Planner, which is interesting. Usually you're not that excited, I mean, to play around Senna. Also, oh, this is the way that works. I've never actually taken this one before. That's actually pretty sick, where it leaves how long does it leave the hexes for? Forever? It leaves the hexes for forever? Wait, this one seems kind of broken. I mean, obviously, once you take this off, you are no longer going to have it anymore. All right, let's look at our last couple of items. You were this far in. Like, I really do want to lock into, like, well, what are the slams that actually make sense here? I kind of like red buff Edge of Night. The only problem is you're left with Sunfire afterwards, which is like, meh. You do kind of already have, like, triple, damage items that you'd want to put on these units. So, like, in this spot, normally I would say you'd be looking at like making Rise items. You'd be really excited about, we get some Rise items here. We can itemize him, we can throw Adaptive and like a Void Staff, Archangels, Morello, all this kind of stuff on him. We don't really have that in this spot. So we're kind of forced to do some weird stuff. Edge of Night is a very high priority item. The only problem is then this Hodge is kind of, okay, LW Sterax Hodge, or maybe move the LW to a backliner. I could see that. I mean, I feel like it should be red buff Edge of Night here, but Bramble coming down, and then red buff. GS, okay. We don't have heal cut, right? I mean, I guess we're just not going to make it and we're just going to chill a little bit. I mean, this is why I want to, like, this is, I think, a really good way to do VOD reviews where you just ask yourself, what would I make in this situation? And Title made something completely different here than I would have made. And I think that's very good information to say, okay, he likes GS in a lot of these comps. It's very flexible, very good on Rise as well. So I think we're probably still thinking about playing into Rise. And, you know, he's saying we have bow plus belt open here. We can probably get to heal cut, guaranteed, later in the game. And we also take, wow, this is just a snap pick to grab the 2 5 costs and some extra components, because this is a comp that uses a lot of 5 costs. Gwen is awesome, Yone is awesome. You can even play around stuff like the Braum as well. It's almost every 5 cost. Zyra is quite good. There's a few that you're not going to play. Seraphine you'd be unhappy about. Varus you're quite unhappy about, but most 5 costs you can be excited to play around this board. And we do pick up this Yone here, and so now we can roll for the board. And I will say, you know, normally the board that people are playing is 4 mech and 4 mentor, but you know, especially emphasis on getting the 4 mentor in here. And you can see we're picking up a lot of these mentor units. But the second we find Jarvan, we play a different version of this comp. We play 7 mech, which, yeah, just isn't that common from just a playing comps perspective. There were very few games that we saw across the entire tournament of people playing 7 mech, but it makes a lot of sense from a few perspectives. One, I mean, we don't have Rise yet, so we can't even play it. But the other piece of this is we don't really have Rise items here. I mean, we have Adaptive GS, which is like, it's okay, but it doesn't really get us there. And then we have these double swords left open, which want to be, you know, it could be a Deathblade, could be another Sterax here, which would be kind of hilarious. I almost want to make Deathblade here. Let's look at these power-ups though. This is the last listed trait, is 40% more effective. I don't like this one that much in general. This is the one that makes your basic attacks cleave, 20% of basic AD to enemies within range. I think this one's pretty decent on a unit like Yone. And then at the start of combat, physical, and oh yeah, so this is the one that converts, you get Armored MR and then it converts Armored MR into AD and AP, I believe. I think I would look at this one here. Yep, I like that. Okay. And we are going to make the second Sterax here, and then put the adaptive on frontline as a frontline item, and then leave these last 2 open. I think the upside to making the second Sterax here is it leaves this next sword open for stuff like Edge of Night. You know, Edge of Night just feels so good in these late game scenarios. We continue to roll down here, and we are also, this is one kind of random thing that we did here, but we found a lot of GPs, and we held on to the possibility of actually hitting a GP3, which is, it's a bit crazy, but we might actually make it here. We have to cut the Koboko so that we can get this guy in, and we got a component after winning that fight, so we end up making Gunblade, right? That's where that component came from. That must have been that was our prize fighter component here, which does allow us to make some kind of survivability item. Once again, you know, not the best in all the world here to make a Gunblade. I don't think people, you know, think this item is bis, but hey, I mean, if this ends up winning us a fight that we otherwise would have lost here, this fight was relatively close. Getting a third item is really transformative onto any unit, and, you know, especially a unit like Yone, who could actually just die as a 1-star on this board. I think it makes a lot of sense, and all of a sudden we're 5 streaking here, 89 HP, getting a lot of value, but still, wow. He still has no heal cut, and I'm shocked by the deprioritization of heal cut. Is there some secret heal cut on this board that I'm not seeing here? Because I thought for sure we would take red buff there in that spot. We pick up the GP3, and we think for a second about, you know, are we going to play 4 mentor here? But I mean, Title thinks better of it, and I think it makes sense. Why would we actually play mentor on this board? We have a Rise 1. We have, I guess, a GP3, but I mean, the big thing is we don't have a Rise 2, and we don't have a lot of items for Rise 2, so we're going to play this trait that puts a lot of power into the Rise. I don't think it makes sense in a spell like this. So I think this is really smart from Title, and this is something that I think, once again, like anything that you can do, TFT is more and more a game where you're playing kind of like cookie cutter comps. You're deciding your angle very, very early in the game, and you know what comp you're playing for. But anything you can do to kind of like a little bit say, okay, I'm going to play mech on my board this game for sure, but I might play 5 mech, I might play 7 mech, I might play 3 mech if I hit some other really good stuff, and say, okay, I'm going to hold all these other units that I could play under these circumstances. I get the Yone out of my augment here, and all of a sudden this opens up 7 mech as something playable to me. That is really good TFT. You know, TFT is with the advent of augments and just, I mean, how people are getting better at TFT, it's hard to, at 4-2, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to full sell my entire board in full flex. We did actually see Title do a very nice flex roll down earlier this day. It was on this day 3, which was really, really cool to see. But there's less of that these days. But I do think it's still really good to do this kind of like light flexing where you say, okay, if he doesn't take... Am I on drugs? Is there, like... Am I missing something here? He doesn't care about heal cut. I don't get this. I actually, like, this is one of those things where I don't get it. Because, like, you need heal cut. I will say he is the melee player, and you need heal cut versus the melee players. I mean, maybe he's estimated this lobby and said, you know, there's not actually that many other people angling towards this comp, so who needs heal cut? Not me. And I mean, we'll see if it ends up biting him or not. But yeah, I mean, playing no heal cut is crazy to me just because if you're into anyone else playing stuff like this, you know, Yone, Gwen, it is so necessary to have heal cut so that you can actually kill these units. Darius is also a huge unit where if you do not have heal cut, you cannot kill him, though there might not be a Darius player in the lobby. So I think this might be very smart from Title to say, if there's no Darius player in this lobby, which also look at this GP go, he did his best here. I mean, honestly, at this point we're on fast 9 tempo here. I mean, we found a random Darius in shop, which almost makes me think then there's no Darius player because like if there was, it'd be harder to find him. Yeah, I don't think there is. Okay, so there's Katarina. Oh, that Katarina though, I still would really like some heal cut versus like. When you watch a fantastic player like this play, I mean, I talked about this in the last VOD, but you should always default to what Title is doing is correct here, and I need to kind of like reevaluate my priors here, because my prior is that heal cut is very important, and so, you know, Title not prioritizing heal cut here is very surprising to me. But I think the way to think about it is, well, he doesn't, I mean, the only board we really needed versus is the Katarina board. Now, still versus that board, I'd kind of like it, but we will see where the rest of this game goes. We can't pick it up there. I almost want to pick up, he takes up QSS here, interesting. I almost want to pick up an AP item here for this this kind of AP carry that we're going to play for eventually, because we are making this pivot for our board, which I think is another really smart idea from Title to say, okay, you know what? Now that we're level 9, we can actually, this board fits beautifully on 9, 4 Mentor, 5. Mech is so easy, and especially now that we have the Rise, we can move these items over to Rise. So nice, actually. The Gunblade GS Death Cap goes here. No mana item really at all for him, which is a little bit sus. I was thinking maybe that the Adaptive Helm was going to move down to be his mana item, and then Gunblade was going to stay up on the Yone. But this works as well. It gives you a tank item, and he's really just saying, who needs it? Also, we have the Lee Sin 2 here, so we're going to move over to Lee Sin 2. We are going to play Juggernaut Lee Sin, which is kind of interesting here. Let's translate these, actually. I will say I do like the Executioner Lee Sin a bit more than this is Juggernaut Lee Sin, right? No, we're getting Juggernaut from this. Okay, it was Executioner Lee Sin. Yeah, he just clicked it so quickly. Yeah, the 2 Juggernauts from that board. Okay, so it is Executioner Lee Sin, good, because I do kind of prefer that version in this comp here. Okay, so we have 10% Omnivamp. When your allies die, you get that 4% stacking Omnivamp. This one looks like Colossal. No, yeah, it is. Yeah, this one's Colossal. Weird that it can even be on Lee Sin, especially when you give him Assassin. I guess he just has one shared pool. And this last one is 15% Omnivamp immunity to CC. I would take this one just because it does damage here. Yeah, I think generally, I mean, you're not taking immunity to CC with QSS, and you're not taking Colossal here because you need the unit slot. So that one was pretty easy, I will say. But yeah, the second we find the Lee Sin, we drop down out of 5 mech, and this is how you can start playing for the highest cap version of this comp, which is, you know, 5 mech's great, and it's good to stabilize you in the mid game, but to really, really stabilize you late game, you want to play for all of the 5 costs. You want to play for Lee Sin on this board. I will say he's hovering Gwen. I don't know how you actually fit everybody on this board. Like, I almost feel like we're going to end on this board. It's once again awkward that we are playing for Mecha, but I don't really see... Like, you can cut Atrox and lose all of these good traits, but I don't really want to do that. He's holding on to a few Gwens here, and he hates it. He hates heal cut. Is there... someone's going to tell me in the comments. They're going to be like, you didn't know that, you know, there's a heal cut on... There is heal cut on Udyr. Oh. You know what? I think that's it. And you know what? And that's why we talk things through. And all right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. So he's really deprioritizing heal cut here because he has it on Udyr already. So who cares about it? Okay, makes sense. And we do get really good items now onto the Lee Sin. We get Deathblade here. We get Sterax Hodge, all that kind of stuff. Look, it's PBE. how many of you guys, there were probably, I'll give you 25% of the people watching this were probably screaming and being like, Udyr gives heal cut, you fool, when you put Formentor in for him. And then the other 75% of people were probably like, why does this guy keep talking about heal cut? I'm playing Uma Musume on my phone. And I'm like, well, I appreciate the view. You know, I'll take that at the end of the day. Fight into Chioe here, who has a very strong Soul Fighter board. And I mean, the rest of the lobby is dead at this point. So it's really just a question of, can we outcap Chioe here? And he's considering power removing. Okay, he power removes off the Lee Sin here to look for something better, because the Omnivamp is pretty fake. The damage amp I think is like okay, but not amazing here. We pick this up, which is what here? We have 5% AD increase, and then your AD increase is increased. I think this one might actually not be that bad with Deathblade here. This one, which is the one that turns resistant to damage, and then this one is... oh, this is the one that actually gives you an extra trait for your chosen stance. So it would give us 3 Executioner, which is kind of funny. I don't actually know. I mean, 3 Executioner actually sounds pretty decent here. He's going to pick this up here and just take the one that turns tankiness. Wow, okay. He likes it onto Lee Sin. Gives you that Armor Namar to like kind of survive early. And then the further you get into the fight, the more just kind of raw and damage you have. All right, let's see how it performs. I mean, it's looking decent here onto the Lee Sin, though. I will say... Chioe's board looks so good. I mean, Soul Fighter is just such a strong vertical once you get there, and he kind of did get there at this point. So we'll see if we can beat it. We do pick up a 3rd item here for the Yone here, and now at this point, now that we have 3 item Yone, we're going to move items from the, or not items, but power up from the Lee Sin to the Yone. There's so much stuff to juggle this set, and also so many things to translate here. Watching somebody who is playing in non-English. Okay, so this is the attack speed, and then you gain range as you kill guys, which sounds quite good in general. This is the one that causes them to do 20% increased damage as bleed, and this is the immune to CC one, so it'll never be this one. I like this one, I think, but I mean, it's never the right side, so it's really a 50-50. Okay, yeah, I like this one a lot. Just or not, because he's going to get rid of it. Okay, honestly, I can't translate all of these. We're gonna translate the one that he took, because if I translate all of these, I'm gonna be here all day, man. There's just too many options. And I'll see, okay, he took this one, which is 20% Omnivamp, and then excess Omnivamp turns into a shield. Huh, kind of interesting that he wanted that one here, just because of the idea of like, who cares that much about Omnivamp? But I mean, it can be up to 40% max HP shield, so you never feel too bad about having insane Omnivamp here. And I will say, this Yone is surviving so long. Oh my God, okay. Well, great call from Tidal, because we actually clear after swapping over our power up here, hitting the Yone 2, and picking that power up specifically, which honestly looks really good. I mean, Yone is this ramping unit. Every single auto attack, he grants himself extra attack speed. And so anything that keeps him alive longer, I think is quite good. And so this is the spot that we see ourselves in. And it is also funny, you know, BT is this item that a lot of good players hate on a lot, but you see it on a lot of great players' boards just because, you know, sometimes you have to build this item, and that is life. The Yone, I mean, getting fully stacked here and clearing. Wow, what a swing. Chioe also pushed level 10, and we're still beating that board here with our level 9 board, holding on to a couple of Gwens here, which, now that I think about it, the idea was never to play Gwen. The idea was always to deny Chioe's Gwen, which is so smart, just to say, okay, you know what? I can actually make it so that Chioe, you know, cannot hit Gwen. I'm going to do my best effort here to deny. But now that we're at the point where we can actually look at pushing levels here. Ooh, oh, this is so smart from him, though. Does he have enough gold? It's quick maths here. I feel like he should have enough. Does he really not have enough gold here? Looking at, I mean, just last tank item here for Jarvan here. Going to be Evan Shroud, even though we do have LW already. Just going to say, you know what? I want to guarantee I can put the LW on the left side and then put the Even Shroud on the right side here. I will say Yone got kind of blown up this fight, and I do think that is Dej for title here. But still a really, really nice game. Just a fantastically, I mean, just a pretty comp to look at, and a good showing of, oh my God, this spot's 28 minutes long. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.